It is time to make sourdough tortillas. Sourdough tortillas are one of my favorite sourdough recipes on my blog. We make all the time because number one, they are quick. Number two, they're very easy. Number three, they are a great way to use up extra discard. This recipe uses 250 grams. Hopefully this is enough. And they are a great last minute vessel for whatever you're planning to bake. Case in point, last week I had on my meal plan pulled pork sandwiches. I did a pork butt in the Instant Pot. It was all ready, and then I realized, shoot, on my meal plan I was supposed to make sourdough hamburger buns over the weekend, and I did not. And now what are we going to put our pulled pork on? I'm not sending my husband to the store to pick up buns. I'm a sourdough baker. That would be like sacrilege. I'm not doing it. And then I thought, what could I make as a vessel? And the answer was tortillas. Tortillas are your lifesaver when you forgot to make buns, you forgot to make bread. What are we gonna do? Tortillas. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to get the dough together. You cover it and let it rest for about 30 minutes. You roll out your little tortillas, and the more that you do it, the faster that step will become. And then if you have a Blackstone, even faster. 10 minutes or less, griddling all of them up on your Blackstone. And these last really well, by the way. In the fridge, on the counter, freezer. You can do a big batch at once and forget about it for a while. But if you don't have a Blackstone, which is just like a big griddle surface, you can use a cast iron skillet. All right, let's get to it. So I've got my scale. We're going to start with 160 grams of warm water. Look at that, exactly 160. I didn't plan that or anything. Okay, to that, we're going to add 6 grams of high quality salt. This is Redmond's sea salt. That is a cult favorite in the sourdough community. You can just add all of the ingredients together at the same time, but I have read from people that know a lot more about tortillas than me that dissolving the salt in the water first is a good plan. So you know what? Why not? Doesn't take hardly any more time to do that. Okay. Then I'm going to add 250 grams of discard. All right, this is 240, but good enough. That was taking too long. Okay, 106 grams of avocado oil. You could also use butter. I've done both. Both work great. I prefer avocado oil usually because I don't have to mess around with melting butter. It seems like a lot of oil, but I have tested it with less oil and they're not as good. They're not as soft. They're not as pliable. So just trust me. Okay. And then we're adding 400 grams of all-purpose flour. This is organic King Arthur all-purpose flour for reference, but this is not quite as picky as like an artisan bread, so really any all-purpose flour should do just fine. Those are all the ingredients. Could it be any simpler? I think not. So then you just whisk this together, and I will show you what it looks like when it's nice and smooth and all mixed up. This is the Broad & Taylor Danish dough whisk, by the way, and it is my favorite dough whisk. I recently posted another YouTube video where I talked about all of the sourdough tools and supplies that I use, or at least I tried to talk about all of them. It's 45 minutes long, but anyway, when I talk about Danish dough whisks, I explain more about why this is my favorite, but it is definitely superior. It's awesome. Okay, so once it does the heavy lifting and gets most of the ingredients generally combined, no more dry flour bits, it's easier, in my opinion, to switch to your hands to kind of squeeze all of those ingredients together and make sure there's no pockets of dry flour, or as you can see, you know, that there's discard and oil that's not fully mixed in yet. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so kind of squeeze and knead everything together. This only takes a couple of minutes. If your forearms start getting tired from like squeezing and pinching the dough, literally slapping it and then folding the dough back on top of itself is a faster and like less laborious way to do it. I love doing this slap and fold motion. Everything is mixed together well. It's nice and soft, not sticky at all. Kind of get it into a nice round shape. So this is covered now, and it's just going to hang out on the counter for about 30 minutes until it relaxes. And then we will pinch off our little tortilla balls. There's lots of different sizes you could make, and I will include on the screen and in the description how many grams your dough should be for each size, all the way from street taco size to big burritos. I usually just do about 12 regular size tortillas. And yeah, I'll be back. This is very easy. Also, what you can do when you come back, but you could also start it during the resting time, is preheating your baking vessel. Cast iron takes a long time to heat up, so you could start at maybe 15 minutes after this is rested and it needs another 15 before you divide it. Go ahead and start preheating your cast iron. Same thing with the Blackstone. It is time to roll out our sourdough tortillas. I just got the Blackstone preheating. I heat up all four, if you have a Blackstone, I heat up all four burners to about number 4, the fourth little. So it's like medium to medium low, and that's it. If you have a cast iron skillet, probably same thing, medium to medium low. I will share more tips about how to make sure they come out perfect when we go over there, but a lot of it has to do with getting the heat just right. So until we get to that point, I'm going to go ahead and divide up my tortillas. I just want to show you something. If you download the recipe card in the notes section, I've got all of the amount of grams. So if you want street tacos, do 26 gram balls, all the way up to the big burrito size. I usually do like 75 grams each or so. But I just wanted to show you that if you have plans for the exact size you want, here you go. I also included how big you want them. So if you get one of those tortilla little helpers, if you've got something like this, you can roll your tortillas out on it and know exactly how big to roll it out, and you won't mess it up. I don't really need that anymore because now I have a really good understanding of how thick the tortillas should be. But if you're doing it for the first time or are learning and have absolutely no idea and you want to nail it, I highly recommend these. Okay, I'm going to start dividing.
A few moments later.
All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 tortillas, about 75 grams each. Now I'm going to roll all of them into a ball, and then I'll go back to the first one and roll it out. Don't be afraid to use lots of flour, but I'll show you that. Ball number 1. I'll come up and show you. That just ensures that when we go to roll out the tortilla, we're rolling it into a circle and not a funky shape. If you don't care about that, then you can skip this step, because honestly, who cares about the shape? Unless you want, like, that was silly to say. Sometimes I start talking and don't know where I'm going. I guess what I'm saying is it really doesn't matter what the shape is unless you're planning to roll it into a burrito, and then having a more uniform shape would be nice. So the reason I don't do these just one at a time, I roll all of them first and then go back to the beginning, is because when you handle the dough like this, it does cause the dough to kind of seize up a little bit, and it just gives it a little bit of time to rest and kind of relax again before you go to roll it out. Otherwise, rolling it out, you'll roll it and then it'll kind of snap back and it'll drive you crazy. Which if that does happen, just cover up your dough and wait like 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe, and it will relax and then you can go back to it. This should be just fine. Okay, we've got all of them rolled out. Now it's time. Oh my gosh, I haven't been using this. Don't be afraid during this stage to use lots of flour. You do not want your tortilla to stick to the surface, or when you roll it, it will not stay in a uniform circular shape. It'll kind of start snagging, and then that's when you get the weird edges and stuff. So flour is your friend. Okay, I'll roll out the first one and then I'll bring you up closer to see it up close. Here's our tortilla. This is the thinness that you're looking for. Hopefully that helps to see. Again, if you use the mat with the markings and you roll out your dough to the exact grams that I said and roll it out to that exact size, you'll know for sure that the thickness is right, but you definitely want them on the thinner side or they will be thick and chewy and not pliable and lovely. Real quick, the way that I stack these before I take them all out to the Blackstone is I use these parchment papers. I've just cut a full parchment sheet in half and I reuse these. This is the third time I've used them for this exact purpose. So don't worry, it's not super wasteful because we're reusing. I sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. Pop my tortilla on it, and then I just put a little bit more flour on top of the tortilla. Another piece of parchment, and then I'm going to end up stacking all of the tortillas, and I'll take them out and griddle them all up in no time at all. All right, let me get you up close. Doing really small rotations helps to make sure that it stretches out into an even circular shape. Kind of the same way that people do pie crust. It's the same thing. And the more confident you get doing this, the faster it will go. I'm also flipping it upside down just to even out the dusting of flour on there. Okay. Let's do one more. Okay. This is good. Beautiful. Little dusting of flour. Stick our beautiful tortilla on there. Moving on to the next one. All right, I'm gonna speed through the rest of these and then I will meet you out at the Blackstone.
few moments later.
Before I forget, I wanted to quickly address something. A lot of people have seen me do this, and they said, why don't you just use a tortilla press? The thing with the tortilla press is it works really well for corn tortillas and really terribly for flour tortillas. Flour tortillas have gluten in them, and the gluten just wants to spring back. So if you're just using a press to smush it, as soon as you lift the press, the tortilla is going to want to shrink back to its original form. So if a tortilla press has not worked for you with flour tortillas, it's not you. It's just going to happen. So that's why I'm hand rolling them. I've tried the tortilla press, but it's just not going to work for flour tortillas, unfortunately. Doing it by hand, the good old-fashioned way. I'm not saying I'm a tortilla expert. Don't come for me if your grandma makes the best tortillas ever. I'm sure they're better than mine. I am just here to show you that you can do it too. And throwing a little sourdough discard in there is a great way to use up discard that might otherwise just go bad in the back of your fridge. And you know what? There's also a little bit of pre-fermented flour in there. So it's got to count for something. Yeah, the whole tortilla is not pre-fermented flour, but a little bit of it is. Better than no pre-fermented flour. We've got our stack of tortillas. Let's go to the Blackstone. Okay, I've got a few things going on here. Number one, I have my tray of tortillas. Number two, I have a tortilla warmer that I'm going to line with the flour sack towel. You do not need a tortilla warmer, although it is nice to have. You could just use a bowl or another sheet tray with the towel. Okay, so when the tortillas are done cooking, they're gonna go in here and we cover them up. Covering them up with the towel is crucial for keeping them soft. So you can pick them up on our parchment here and just slap them on your That's usually what happens to me. All right, well, that could have been a lot more graceful, but it is me, so at least we're on brand. I do a test one, just like you do with pancakes. We're testing out the heat. What we want to have happen is for the tortilla to start browning on the bottom within 30 seconds, and then we want to flip it and have it finish in the next 30 seconds. This looks perfect. If it's too fast or too slow, that's when you start getting crispy tortillas that flake and don't roll up. No, we want pliable and soft. Okay. This is looking good. A little burnt. So I'm gonna lower it. Okay, it looks like we were on about the 5th one. I meant to go on 4, so these are a little hot. How we doing, buddy? Okay. So that's the alternative. If they start burning before the 30 seconds hits, it's a little too hot. And again, it'll lead to crispy areas. That's not what we're looking for. Okay, so there's one. Just flipping him in our little thingy. And then you cover him up until he's got friends. Okay? That's it. I'm gonna let this do its thing for like 2 minutes to cool down a little bit, and then we'll come back for one more tester, and then hopefully we will boom, 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 get through all of them. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with our next one. The parchment can be an asset for you. If they get warm and they start to get sticky and hard to handle, you can use the parchment to help you out. Learned that the hard way one time when I could not lift them up and they were stretching and it was just a hot mess. Oh, I said I was gonna do another tester, didn't I? Well, I'm going for it. Yeah, still a little too hot. I just sacrificed 3. I keep them moving around. actually not so bad. It's definitely better. Okay, it's cooling down. I think there's a hot spot right there. Okay. So that's the other thing. There might be hot spots. That's why it's nice to preheat if you're doing this on a cast iron skillet. Preheat it, don't be afraid, like 20-30 minutes even, and that will ensure that the whole cast iron bottom is the same temperature. A lot of people also preheat their cast iron skillets in the oven for the same reason, to make sure that the heat is even throughout. Probably not that serious. And also I'm talking and I forgot what I was doing. Okay, these are done. Okay, I'm gonna add them on top of our guy over here. That first one actually looks really great. Okay, so the middle has a hot spot that I need to be cautious about. Oh, these are looking great. I'll show you up close in a second when they're not piping hot. I think we're good. I'm just gonna go for it now. Not that I didn't just go for it, but. Kind of staying away from right there since that's a hot spot. Unfortunately, can't do as many at a time, but this is so quick anyway, it's not that big of a deal. Go. By the time I got the last one on, it's about time to flip the first guy. Ooh, that's a huge air bubble. I love it. That's kind of fun. There you go, buddy. Calm down. All right. Maybe it's not so traditional to flip them more than once, but I never really thought about the fact that I do this, but I get panicky about burnt spots, and so this is kind of my way of making sure that they heat through without burning. Okay. You see how these are soft and pliable? You can form these into burritos without it cracking, which was the biggest problem I had before really buckling down and creating this recipe and figuring out what was causing, that one's a little bit burnt. What was causing the problem, which is primarily, I mean, obviously you need a good dough, which we have, but the biggest problem is getting the heat right. It is absolutely essential. I cannot overstate how important it is that your tortillas cook within 30 seconds per side. If they take a lot longer than that, like if you're doing 2 minutes per side, you're gonna not be happy with your tortillas. And this is my last one. Can I fit you on here, buddy? So now that it's hot out here, this is when the tortillas start getting a little bit stickier. That's why these are so handy, because you can use them to help you get them on your Blackstone. If you're inside, it's not that big of a deal, but still a good little tip. Okay, we're almost done. What have we been out here for, like 10 minutes? I mean, I'm sweating, but we've got 12 tortillas now, and that honestly, it didn't feel like that much work. I hope I'm not like making it seem easier than it is, but it really is not that hard. Okay, this guy's looking perfect. Hot. Okay, I'll see you inside. We did it. We did it. We made sourdough tortillas. We used up 250 grams of discard, and they're beautiful. Beautiful. Let me show you why these are so great. They're pliable. They're not stiff, no cracking. You can turn these into quesadillas. You can turn them into the most delicate of burritos. I mean, they're just perfect. Nobody wants a burrito where you're rolling it up and then it starts tearing and cracking and your sauces start seeping through. No. We want pliable tortillas, and they're delicious. I cannot tell you how many times I have made tortillas from scratch. People have come over and they've said, "Oh my God, this is the best burrito, best XYZ I've ever had in my life. Like, what did you do?" I'm like, I mean, nothing, except I made burritos or I made tortillas from scratch, and they have sourdough discard in them. And they're just, I mean, I could keep going. They're all perfect. Even our tester guy, let me get him out. At the very bottom. Yeah, he's a little sad. He was our tester. But he's still good. He's still not crunchy. He just got a little burnt spot right there. That's okay. We'll just cut that off and give it to our kids. Anyway, there's our homemade sourdough tortillas. I hope this showed you how simple it is to do. I feel like in my head it doesn't take that much time, but after filming this, like, okay, yeah, it does take some time to roll it out and all of that stuff, but all in all, very simple to do. You could also easily double this recipe because these freeze phenomenally. Just stick them in a Ziploc bag. If you want, you can save these, put these between each tortilla, and they'll stay in there for a good 6 months. But honestly, I leave these in here like this on my counter, and they're good for 3 or 4 days on the counter. You could also put them in the fridge and store them in there for a couple of weeks even, and they're perfect. So this is one of my favorite sourdough recipes, and I hope you love it too. Happy baking!